In the marble halls of Jerusalem, King Herod, ruler under Rome's iron hand, sat upon his gilded throne. His crown shined brightly, but his eyes were unease. The halls carried dark rumors. They spoke of wise men who had came to the city, asking, "Where is he who is born King of the Jews?" The word stung Herod like a thorn. He was king by decree, not by divine promise. His throne was built on fear, not prophecy. Yet these strangers spoke of a child foretold by the prophets, a child born in Bethlehem. He summoned the chief priests and scribes, demanding to know where the Christ was to be born. They opened the scrolls of the prophet Micah and read aloud, "And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor, that shall rule my people Israel." Herod's heart turned cold. He sent for the wise men in secret. They entered the palace, bowing low before him. Herod's voice was honeyed, but his gaze was sharp as a blade. "Go," he said, "and when you have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also." The men bowed and departed, not knowing that the king had other plans on his mind. The star that had guided them from the east moved once more before them, shimmering above the winding road. It led them to Bethlehem, where the night lay quiet over the houses and the murmuring of sheep. When the star came to rest over the place where the child was, the men fell to their knees in awe. They entered the dwelling and found Mary and the young child. The air was warm and still. The child lay sleeping, his hand curled softly against his mother's robe. The men bowed low and opened their treasures. Gold, fit for a king, frankincense, offered to a god, myrrh, the bitter herb of burial. When morning came, they departed by another way, their footsteps fading eastward. That same night, when the wise men had gone, Joseph slept beside the small fire. The child stirred in Mary's arms. She sang softly, a lullaby, in the old tongue of her people. Then, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. "Arise," said the voice, "and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt. Remain there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him." Without question, he rose and gently woke Mary. There was no time for rest, no time for farewells. They gathered their few belongings, and under the pale watch of stars, began their journey into the unknown. The road into Egypt would be long and desolate through the wilderness. Mary rode in silence. The infant pressed close against her. Sometimes she looked down at his face and drew strength from the mystery she still scarcely understood. Joseph walked beside her, his feet blistered, his shoulders bent beneath the weight of duty and love. At times they passed nomads, shepherds, and traders who offered water or bread. At other times, they walked through miles of barren land, where only the cry of distant beasts broke the stillness. And yet, through all the hardship, a strange peace followed them, as though unseen hands guided their path. After many days, they crossed into Egypt, the land of exile and refuge. There they found shelter among the poor, in a village near the Nile. Among strangers, Joseph found work among the craftsmen. Mary kept her household and watched her child grow. The boy's eyes were deep and quiet, as though he gazed upon things no one else could see. Even in his earliest days, there was a light around him, not of this world. Back in Judea, Herod waited. When the wise men did not return, his patience turned to fury. The king's heart, already hardened by years of power and fear, became a furnace of rage. He summoned his soldiers and gave an order. "Go to Bethlehem," he said, "and to all its borders. Slay every male child 2 years old and under." And so it was. The soldiers went, their swords gleaming. The cries of mothers rose like smoke into the heavens. Thus was fulfilled what was spoken by the prophet Jeremiah. But in Egypt, the child slept safely in his mother's arms. Years passed. The tyrant who had sought the child's life grew old and sick, and Herod died. Then, once more the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, "Arise, and return into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life." And so Joseph rose, and the family left Egypt behind, the river gleaming like a memory in their wake. They traveled once more through desert and hill, until they reached the land of Judah. But when Joseph heard that Archelaus, Herod's son, reigned in his father's steps, fear touched him again, and being warned of God in another dream, he turned aside into Galilee, to the town of Nazareth. There they made their home, and the child grew in strength and wisdom. His laughter filled the courtyard. His small hands learned the weight of wood and the touch of grain. His eyes, though still a child's, carried the calm of eternity. Seasons passed, and life moved in the slow rhythm of work and prayer. Joseph's hammer rang through the days. The child Jesus grew, not as a prince, but as a carpenter's son. He played among the hills, gathered wildflowers, and watched the stars that once had guided wise men to his cradle. Villagers who saw him would sometimes pause and whisper, though none could say why his presence made the air feel brighter. And Mary kept all these things in her heart, pondering the mystery of the child who had changed the world by his very birth. Thus began the life of Jesus Christ, born in humility, carried through exile, and raised in silence. The Word made flesh, God with us. The manger, the star, the angel's song, these were but the first notes of a greater story, one that would unfold in time, upon fields and seas, across hearts and empires. Yet it all began here, in the womb of a maiden, in the faith of a carpenter, in the cry of a newborn beneath a winter sky. And though centuries have passed, and empires risen and fallen, the light that began in Bethlehem still burns, a flame unquenched, a promise unbroken, a love eternal.